Hi, Ryan. Welcome. It's great to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks, Vonnie. It's great to be here.
So, you're part of our Fresh Fuel Catalyst Accelerator program. And so I've gotten to spend time with you throughout this year. But why don't we start? You introduce yourself and talk about the company and kind of the project and how the whole thing got going.
Sure, yeah. So I'm Ryan Towry. I'm the Vice President of Engineering and Innovation for the Kwik company. Um, Most people know our product, but not many people know the name. Most of people have our product in their house. We are the original inventor of the plastic bag closure. It's an interesting story, actually. Back in 1953, our founder's father actually had a apple crate nailing machine patent. And that was about the time plastic bags were coming out, and everybody was looking at how to use those in the produce industry. And somebody told him, if you can find a way to reclose a bag over and over again, you could have something. So he was flying back home on an airplane with a bag of chips, a credit card, and a pocket knife. Back when you could still have, pocket
Pocket
knives on
knives
a
on a
plane.
plane. Yeah.
Wouldn't happen anymore. And he whittled out the original version of the Kwik and patented it and started the Kwik Corporation next year.
So, as part of this program, what project are you working on?
So for this program, we're working on a home compostable closure to help, have more sustainable options than using traditional plastic options. And we're also trying to further elevate avenues for companies to accelerate their traceability, not just from a lot level, but all the way down to an individual level. So with our label version of the closure, we
Oh,
actually are
great.
able to put a 1D and a 2D barcode printed at the time of application. So you can do a dynamic QR code or a barcode for every individual product as you're closing the bag. So we feel that we have a pretty unique position in the production chain right at the time of closing the bag when that product is finally finished and ready to go to supply chain, to be able to log the exact time and that individual SKU at that time.
That's amazing. And so is the rest of the supply chain set up to handle that data and be able to use it?
For the 1D barcode for the normal, UPC scan right now, it is. I think for the 2D with the FSMA 204, a lot of people are shooting for that 2027 date. We've done a lot of trials in different retailers currently that are already getting ready or are ready right now. So this gives them a good vessel to start now and not be up against the deadline on those products that qualify for the FSMA 204 regulations that come into effect and or need to be in place by 2027.
And is it different for produce than it is for other products, or you're doing the same things for both?
We have explored some customers in other industries because we serve, we do meat, some meats. Baking is another big one for bread. Obviously, everybody's seen it on their bread bag. But their traceability there hasn't been pushed as hard because the shelf window is a lot better for a lot of products, a little more stable. So, but I think they're going to probably get there as well. They'll probably just lag behind produce, I would say.
For this particular project, or you're researching making the closures different and the traceability both. And so how's that going and what's the
So we already have the equipment together for the traceability part. And if you swing by our booth, you can check it out. Um, but we're working really heavily on trying to find the right polymer to make a non-petroleum based biopolymer closure and label. So it's all one material with no added glues or make it a full monomaterial. And that way you could go and put it in your home compostable bin with any leftover food scraps you have, and you don't have to put that in, find a recycling center or find a, industrial compostability uh, source to be able to take care of that. Obviously, the price of biopolymers, being that it's kind of a newer technology, is something that we've been very cognizant of to make sure that we can make something that's a price point that customers and producers can actually use at a larger scale.
So are you developing that yourself? Like, do you have chemists that are doing that development, or is
So
that
we've partnered with quite a few different companies to try to actually have multiple sources, so that way we can have a larger volume and a reliable supply chain. And then trying to validate it through production methods that we use to do the volumes that we do globally.
So do you have candidates now that you're working on? And
Yeah, so we have about 3 different candidates right now that we validated as a product, and so now we're just working through the pricing and processability. Each one's a little bit different throughout the extrusion process.
I worked in biochemicals for a while, and we had different ways of making chemicals through fermentation and with different kinds of feedstocks. And we would try to scale them up. And one time we were trying to scale up one, it was for what was the industry? I can't remember what chemical it was, but we put it into their regular processing, and this green smoke, appeared. And so there's this. It's not trivial that it has to be able to go through processing, and you have to be able to make it, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how many people I've talked to, over the years of being with Kwik that, it's just a small piece of plastic. It's really simple. And I'd be like, no, it's not. There's a lot that goes into it. Reliability is a huge factor. I mean, as you know, for all packaging, if you have 10% fail, that's a huge portion of products that don't get to be sellable or don't make it to, an end consumer. So we have to shoot for, 99.9% reliability, not only on keeping the package closed, but also being able to apply it in the producer's production line. Because every minute they're down is another minute they're not putting product out, and they're adding cost to their supply chain, which is something that we don't want to do either.
So how close do you think you are to having something compostable, market ready?
We have some early trials going on right now, waiting on, the compostability certification. That also takes some time. And there's also a lot of those out there. So we had to kind of settle on one that most of our customers, when we surveyed, actually said would be acceptable for them. But from there, it's really being able to scale up our process. So when we go into a customer at an actual commercialization level, we can supply it without shorting them or having to switch back intermittently and cause disruptions. So, I mean, a lot of our produce customers will do, thousands a day, obviously. So we have to be able to put out millions.
Yeah.
So it grows rather quickly.
So a year?
I would say a couple months.
Couple months?
Yeah, maybe
Excellent.
early next year.
Oh, great.
We already, like I said, I have these right here already. We've already made, I think, about 3 million of them.
Oh, great.
Just for trialing and testing. We try to at least in-house tests, break off an application of over 1 million before we even go to a field test, to make sure that we know that it will be reliable for the customer from day one. A lot of time and effort that goes into it that people don't see.
Yeah, exactly. So this program, the Fresh Fuel Catalyst Accelerator program through the packaging lab, has been supported by the USDA. And what's different this year with the program is we were able to write people checks and help support the program. So besides the check that you got and are getting, how has the program been helpful for you?
I think obviously the IFPA team has been great organizing all of it, but with all of the support that we've had from different companies that we visited and talked to and our mentors, it's really helped add more clarity and context onto what actually will work on the parts that, I might not get to see from my lens. And then also even from we went to the DC for Walmart and, got to see the rest of the supply chain as well. Really makes you think about all of the things outside of your normal stream of your product that it could affect, and make sure that we're checking all the boxes before we get there. So I think it just helps really advance that development to the next level a lot faster than you would if we didn't have the program.
Oh, that's great. Going into the Walmart superstore and that distribution center and seeing packaging fail, that was really, I'd never seen that part of the chain either. And so that was really fascinating to see how many places packaging can fail and what a huge problem it is. So I think just realizing that and thinking about, what people have to do and how they're handling the product.
Right. Yeah. And with our customers being most of the producers, we don't usually go to that level either because, we focus on applying the closure on the bag at the end of the production line and then getting them to, their truck. But once it goes from their truck to the DC and the end store, we only get a little bit of feedback on that side because it moves on to another, they handle that relationship, not us.
Yeah.
So that was really, really nice to hear and see and get to feel it.
Great. Well, thanks, Ryan. Thanks for stopping by the booth and being in the program and coming to the show. And
Yeah, thanks for having me.
yeah, hope you have a great show.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thanks.
Coming up, Vonnie sits down with Dr. Taraka Ramji to share his insights.
Hi, welcome to Short Takes on Tech. It's great to have you here.
Hi, Vonnie. It's exciting to be here.
Yeah, a lot of buzz going around, all the people, everything.
Energizing and intimidating at the same time. Yeah.
And have you been to this show before?
Yes. Last year I was here
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's right.
in
That's where we
Atlanta.
met.
That's
we
right.
met. I remember.
Right.
So why don't you start by introducing yourself and talk a little bit about the company and the product?
So I'm Dr. Taraka Ramji. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Peelon. So at Peelon, we design a compostable packaging solution that is with the active and intelligent packaging that reduces both food waste and also the plastic waste. Meaning, so it increases the shelf life by delaying the ripening and also like keeping the moisture intact and keeping them fresh longer. And our packaging is completely compostable, meaning you can put it in your backyards and it decomposes in less than 2 months. That's where Peelon. And we work majorly with both exporters and also retailers. So that's our packaging from addressing both retail packaging problems and also export problems as well.
So what stage are you at now? Do you have product out in the field or do you have sales? Are you in trials? So kind of where are you?
So for the bulk crate liners, so we are already export ready. We are already at commercial scale, supplying to both US and Mexico for the leafy greens majorly. And on the retails, so we are like at the pilot stage where people are trying it out. So that's where we are standing.
And what are they saying? What are you hearing are the biggest benefits?
It's mostly it's too good to be true. So that's one of the it starts with.
Yeah.
So it was hard for them. It's always to believe that it's possible to be transparent and affordable, and also increase the shelf life at the same time.
So how do you get trial? Like we've talked about this before, where you explain the product to people and they're like, "That would be great if I could have that," but then they don't trial
Right.
it. So
That's right.
how are
That's
you
right.
getting trial and getting people
Yeah.
going?
So this is why we start like so take some samples, try it out by yourselves to see that increased shelf life. So once you see that increased shelf life, so you can get back to us. So then you're ready to shift your packaging from plastic to your sustainable alternatives. So that's how we get into the pilots and then to the commercial orders.
And then what kind of pick whatever part of the supply chain, but do they have to change a lot of the way that they're doing things to be able to use your product? So does that slow down the trial or it just fits right into what they're already doing?
Ideally, it's just, I mean, we did that homework to make sure it is as easy to fit into the current supply chain, to make sure like they don't have to modify or make any drastic changes into the supply chain. It could be automated packing, it could be manual packing, it could be any kind of packaging. So it's easy to fit in. So based on that requirement, we'll be able to provide them the packaging solution. So that reduces to try it out, the resistance to try it out. But again, the companies from changing from medium to big companies, they always take time because the food produce business is always fast. So they need to take some time to assess and understand like how much like a shelf life is increasing and how much it is money wise, how it is different from the traditional packaging what they have been using. So these are the different parameters they assess, and then finally they go into the commercial cycle.
Are you able to show them the return on investment and kind of how much money they save? And
Yeah, this I did. So it depends also on the use case to use case. So one of the strong use case, which I mentioned earlier as well, is on the ice. So iceless broccoli or iceless cilantro. This is a strong use case where approximately they save 6,000 pesos for every load. So Mexican pesos. So that's a huge amount for every load. So when they send like multiple containers, it's a huge profit margin for them. So I try to do that. I try to explain them. That's how I actually got them into trying it out, the liners.
The program that you're part of, the Freshfield Catalyst Accelerator, is funded by the USDA, and the point of why we have this grant is so that we can export to other countries out of the US, continue to export produce. So when you're looking at exporters and you're looking at some of the regulations. How do you fit in, and how do you think this is a great solution for that?
Here in the U.S. market, so the PPWR in Europe is something which is already existing, and people are trying to look for alternatives. Whereas in the U.S. market, it's only few states who are trying to push on the EPR, the plastic tax, which is coming into picture, I think, next year. So they're looking for solutions, but they're not serious about it yet, at least in the US market. So we got one or two clients who are exporting to Europe and Canada. So where the plastic, it's important for them to switch. So those clients are much more serious compared to the ones who are in the domestic.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I assume that's going to speed up.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's the thought.
We
Anyway.
hope that. Yeah, I mean, we already reached the irreversible tipping point. So I think we seriously have to switch from the plastic to the sustainable alternatives.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about the program and how, besides the money, which is always good and helpful, but in addition to that, how has the program benefited you, and what have you gotten out of it so far?
Yep. I mean, to be honest, I joined the program for basically because of the program, less of money of a grant. So, I mean, grant is always helpful and useful, keep us in check once in a while. It's good to have. But additionally, the program helped us to reach to different producers, exporters. It could be domestic or exports, but majorly the different producers, large producers, and also different stakeholders in the supply chain. So to meet them, to understand what are their issues currently they're facing. It helped us to understand like what are the scale of the problem and what kind of problems which we missed previously, because every small, medium, and large have a different sets of problems in the supply chain. So we were able to assess and understand what the large corporates are facing, and we are able to assess what small we already did that survey, like what small and medium enterprises have been facing. So now it's a through IFPA accelerator program. So we are able to understand the issues where the large corporates are facing. So in this supply chain, so that was very helpful for us to fine tune our products and then get back to them. Okay, here is the problem you're facing, and here is our solution. So which will address and reduce your pain points what you are currently facing.
What's an example of a difference, like with a large producer? What are they facing that's a little bit different than a smaller?
So the large producers have been, they have optimized their supply chains to almost reduce to less than 1% of spoilage, right? So that's the level of optimization they have. They automated the packaging, they automated, reduced the wastage and everything, and they managed to reduce it to very, very minimal extent. So now, suddenly, I mean, there are minor here and there issues, but additionally, the packaging was a big challenge for them. So how can we switch? So it has to be affordable, it has to be transparent, it has to also reduce the problems they're currently facing, including the moisture, the spoilage, and have a longer retail shelf life. So these are the problems when they want to switch. So these are the problems that needs to be addressed. So because they have worked it for almost a decade to actually address these problems and reduce it. So suddenly, if you ask them to switch from plastic to some other alternatives, so this problem should be addressed in that.
Right.
So
right.
that's I think what I see. So I could tell them this is a solution where it's not just affordable; it also solves your problem, which you have been working from last decade to reduce through plastics.
Well, as we wrap up, is there anything else you want people to know about the product, or we'll give information of where to find you so people who listen to the podcast can find you? But
so you can visit us in the booth in the Tech Accelerator Pavilion at TA7. So the other point is so our packaging, as I mentioned, so it's a transparent, it's affordable, and it's intelligent enough to solve your wastage problems.
Great. Well, thanks for being in the program, and thanks for being here.
Thanks,
I appreciate
Vonnie.
it.
Coming up, Vonnie sits down with Steve Greenfield to share his insights.
Hi, Steve. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, why don't we start with you talking about your company and your products, and then we'll take it from there.
Sure. So NNZ is a 103-year-old packaging distributor based in Groningen, Netherlands, but our U.S. headquarters are in Atlanta. I actually have been with them 24 years this month, so a lot of longevity.
Oh, that's a lot of longevity.
And we supply the produce industry with different types of packaging. We're not shoehorned into just one or two products like some manufacturers might be. We can source from a number of different sources all over the world. And we were contracted about a year ago by a company over in Norway called Q-Bic. And they, for lack of a better explanation, they have something called the Q-Bic. It is a truncated pyramid. And the reason this is special is because of its shape. You can actually, in a shipping carton, you can get 6 units, let's say pint units of blueberries, into the same footprint that you normally only have 2 blueberry pints. So you're getting 3 times as much in the same shipping carton. So it's a huge savings on shipping costs for the grower packer, which is an area that you don't usually have an opportunity to save any money on because the shipping companies have you, at their beck and call. So we're trying to commercialize this in the U.S. It's already been commercialized in Europe, and we are through the help of the IFPA and USDA grant. And the nice thing is that we recently were able to develop it into sustainable versions, which is what the whole grant was about. So, it's been an incredible opportunity to showcase this, help companies save money on shipping, and at the same time, move towards a more sustainable product.
So when you go and talk to people, they want to trial it? Like how do you get adoption? How do you get
So what we're
sales?
working towards with all this exposure is we're working towards a pilot with 1 or 2 companies. We have interest in a big blueberry packer as well as a grape tomato packer right now. The biggest hurdle that we just overcame was getting the product to work on the existing machinery that's out there. And we just got the blessing of one of the big companies that does that.
So the machinery to pack?
To pack,
okay.
yes, to pack in this shape. We
Ah,
wanted to make sure that they could use their existing machinery. Just because the shape changed, they want to be able to not have to revise or have to go out and
sure,
buy
yeah.
new machinery. So
And that's working?
yes, we got a blessing from the major manufacturer who does most of the blueberry packing. So that was a huge deal for us.
What about in the truck? Does anything have to change when?
Not really. It's palletized the same way. The shipping carton does need to change a little bit on some of the sizes that we have. But for the most part, the only thing that really needs to change at the packer grower is the way that it's put into the shipping carton, because there is an order that it has to go. You have to put the product in upside down on the bottom layer, and then all of your outside sides, and then the centers, and then the top. So there is, on their pack-off table, they would have to do some training for their personnel to be able to pack it correctly in the box. But once it's on the truck, it ships just like anything else.
So what are you able to tell people is going to be their increase in profits or return on investment? Or
We just got a new tagline. It's change the shape, cut the cost, boost the brand. So the reason I say boost the brand is the Q-Bic on its own sits nicely on its 45-degree angle. So at the retail level, it makes a beautiful waterfall display with your brand staring the consumer in the face, as opposed to being stacked on top of each other where you don't really see the brand.
oh, interesting. And do you have anyone using that yet? Is that
Like I said, we are in the testing phase of 2 packers. We also are just working. One of the packers wanted us, because they were doing a snack size of blueberries, so they wanted a corner opening product so that you could pour the blueberries out of a 4.4 ounce or 4 ounce package. So we're working on developing this hinge right here for the corner to open easily.
And is that a sample of it? It's not completely clear, but almost clear. Is that?
This one seems to be a little bit more cloudy. These ones
Yeah.
do.
Okay, so they are more clear. Yeah.
So it's the same material in the rPET or PET as your typical clamshell. Now on the style that is sustainable, of course, you're going to have your top seal, which gives you a view of it, and you do have air holes in there. And I'm actually, interestingly enough, working with one of the other winners of the grant program, Coriamat, that makes a foamed PLA, and they can put windows, full windows in each side. So now you're going to be able to, and there, of course, the product is sustainable. So now you're going to have the top seal with windows along each side so you can see the product easily in that.
Have you gotten any feedback from consumers on the
Everybody
packaging?
I show this to thinks it's incredible. So it's more of a matter of getting it out there. I just did my third press release last week. I did just talk to the High Bush Blueberry Council. We are members of them, and so they want to do a webinar. So it's more exposure. Things like this show, which is incredible. And I thank the IFPA and USDA for choosing us for this grant for the sustainable version of this, because it really goes a long way of getting our name and this product out there.
Oh, great. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the program. What kinds of experiences did you have, and what have been the benefits so far?
So the immersion tour was incredible.
Isn't that a great week?
Yes, it is a great week. The companies we saw, it's nice to be able to actually meet with the major people within that company that would make the decisions on things like this. And then demo day to follow that up was incredible too. It's funny because I talked to one large company, Taylor Farms, and they think this is interesting, but we know that it takes a long time. They're a big company to turn a ship. It takes a long time to turn it when they're big. But I told them, I said, when you go to develop a new package, especially a round package, because that's where this really takes the cake, because you're shipping less air. And when you ship something that's in a round package, that's a lot of air being shipped. So I said, when you're developing or you're thinking about changing one of your packages, consider this. Let's get together. Let me be in the initial stages of that innovation process, and let's do some testing and see if it's worth your while.
That's really good. And their response was?
Yes, they said definitely.
Yeah.
But even their sustainable version that they just recently did for Earthbound Farms,
Yeah,
that took 5 years to go from idea to commercialization.
that's right.
I'm in this for the long game.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get something in the store shelves before I retire in a few years. But then I might just ask NNZ to hire me on as a consultant to continue this project.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's been interesting for me because I hadn't worked as much in packaging until this year. But just seeing, a lot of the big companies like we saw, like Driscoll's and Taylor Farms, they have their own programs and are trying to do their own developing. But there really needs to be a blend, I think, because they know what they need and
Right.
they know what it has to fit into, but they don't need to be packaging designers necessarily. So I think working together with companies like yours, that makes a lot of sense. And starting at the very beginning.
Yeah, and the beauty of this is because this is in its infancy, we can develop the right size for their package. The other thing is part of the grant money goes to making the molds for these, which are quite expensive. And that's the uniqueness of this is now we are able to do that. They're not having to foot the bill for that. Sometimes that's subsidized. Sometimes they decide to pay for it if they're really interested in moving forward with it. But with the grant money, we're able to subsidize that using the grant money to get it to market.
Oh, great. Great. That's the point. Exactly. So what do you think of the show so far?
So far, it's great. I love Anaheim. It seems to be more of a buzz sometimes in other areas, just because there's so many growers out here and you get so much more traffic. And just what I've seen, it's your typical IFPA show of, a lot of great products and a lot of good food. The grazing is always wonderful. So I can't wait to do that tomorrow.
How many shows have you been to?
Total of
Yeah.
IFPA shows? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I've been doing this
including PMA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
24 years. So
Every year?
Yeah, every year.
Oh my gosh, we should give you a button or something.
Frequent exhibitor.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. And so I haven't been to that many. What have you seen as kind of the evolution of the show? And
Well, I think the biggest thing, and I thank IFA so much for making it that the packaging and machinery side gets a lot of exposure because people have to walk through our section.
I love that. I'm so happy with that this year.
To get the food and other things. Because it's really nice to get that first impression, them coming through your side. There was a little bit years ago when everything was commingled. I did like that. But this, if we can't do that, this is a best second way of doing it. So.
Yeah. Well, we're really trying, we've got some focus on just trying to get more operations people at the show as well, because people are coming, people who would be customers of yours are coming to be in the booth to talk to their customers.
Right.
And so we've really been making a push to try to get operations people, both in the field and in packaging, to come here so that, they find solutions. So
because it is a team effort. It's not just talking to the marketing or a packaging design person. There has to be buy-in from sales, upper management, all the way down to the operations guys, because this affects their operation.
yeah, it has to
if they're
fit.
changing packaging.
Yeah,
So
great.
it's nice.
Well, thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's really great to have you and
Enjoyed
have you in
being
the
here.
program. And I will see you on the floor.
Great.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.